So last week we predicted Bitcoins move from 86 or 87,000 to 92, 94K. And of course, since then, Bitcoin has pushed nearly 10%, which is a strong confirmation. Just can't tell it all. Hi everyone, Elgeod here. I'm super excited to have you join me here on YouTube and whatever channel or platform you might get to be seeing this. Your market analyst, as usual, bringing you your market dose of, again, the markets. We're going to be analyzing Bitcoin. We would look at lead. I got interest with lead last week, and we would look at NASDAQ. I would do that, unlike me doing every other crypto project. I'm going to be like looking at NASDAQ and analyzing the biases of this kind of project and all of that. And so we'll draw our conclusions. Let's start with Bitcoin. And I think maybe I can also get to the point of analyzing, one or two stocks, probably. And so now, if you remember, we made analysis last week about Bitcoin doing some, 7, 8, or 10% probably. And of course, it did just that. The market went really above 86, 87K where it was as at the time of the market analysis. You'd find the video in one of our previous videos. And if you've not seen it, I think you better check it. Now, having said that, it's important we all take note of something very important. As you can look at the chart here on Bitcoin from a weekly time frame quickly, you'd see that the whole market price action from last week, let me quickly do this so we can see, was bullish. Now, we literally said that the market will be actually bullish and ending up being bearish, because that was the expectation, because we were thinking it would be very sharp, but that didn't happen. And it's also, though I don't use indicators, I would quickly show something very important on the indicators tool if this gets to be displayed. So I want to show something about market volume trend. I really wish that really gets displayed for us. Okay, I don't think it's coming up. So I want to just show something to us. You can pull up your indicator and you'll see this, that there was no volume, right? No much volume. And so this was all a function of retracement. Now, that being said, I think we must take note of the fact that the candle closure was one with candle wick. The candle wick showed to us that the market, in fact, had some little bit of sell prayers there. And we have just closed up the fair value gap, which is not really so much of a big deal because we have a very strong candle wick by its side here. But it's a matter for us. Why? Because we have been following the historical price actions of the Bitcoin market, and what we've seen clearly identifies and speaks to the fact that the market having a candle wick like this, right, just shooting above, forming an external range liquidity for us, going and reading above the buy side liquidities, which is the one right here. And then the market coming to this key level, which is demand zone, breaking rudely this point and then retracing to the spot is a reason for us to think of a continuation for this sale. Now, that being said, I think it's important for us to, in fact, come to a daily time frame, understand what has been happening for a day to day. And we've seen that for some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the market has been squeezing liquidity in that spot. One thing is definitely certain: the market might want to jump above, right, to 97K, to lead people on thinking, to make them think we're going bullish, but we aren't, and then it quickly spikes down. That's most likely the thing the market will want to do. And so what we want to do is to draw out the curtains and say, you know what, there shouldn't be a market trade possibly today. Let's have the market doing all the old shenanigans it wants to do on Bitcoin. And that speaks to the fact that since we're still bearish with all the understandings we've got, the market might have liquidity sweeping into this particular order block, which is somewhere around $97,250, as we all can see, somewhere around that point. And then once the market gets to that point, we can be thinking of, all right, fine, then we can wait for a direction. So I think that's what the market is probably going to be doing, rising a little bit into 96 and then ranging into 97K, and then it spikes down. Spiking down will definitely make us know what to do. It should break below this liquidity at 92K. We'll find an entry, and then from there we can find a retracement and take a potential short. And so this is all I'm just trying to say about the market. A break of this liquidity right here. Let me take this probably off. And so the market is probably going to be rising to that spot of about 96, 397, 250, coming below this candle wick and then doing something like this, right? It breaks this point, which must actually happen. And once that is done, which is it shifting structures below this point, then we can answer wait for retracement somewhere around here, and then we take a sell. That's that on Bitcoin. And so this is the old projection. We must have this liquidity, this one here, which is already for us the candle liquidity that led to this, that will be leading to a potential high of 97k taken out. This must be taken out, and once that is rated, then we can say fine, we can find a reason for taking a new short. So today's movement on Bitcoin is patient, and that's all you're doing. For NASDAQ, this is all we get to see. We have apparently seen that the whole historical movement of NASDAQ has been extremely bullish all the while, and then we are at this point. At this point now, a lot of questions will be, hey, wait a minute, we are already waiting for a continuation. There should be a continuation for NASDAQ, and if we would be using this relative low as a potential point to estimate a decision of a bullish market, then what we really want to be seeing, right? Let me open NASDAQ right here. So sorry about that. Right, what we want to really be seeing is nothing, okay? Nothing other than the market. Okay, this chart is not the perfect one for us, but at least we can make do with it. So historically, we can look at the chart on a weekly time frame and draw conclusion that NASDAQ is been all bullish. But then you need to ask many questions. All right, you've been seeing highs and lows and highs and lows and highs and lows and highs and lows forming until we come to a point where it no longer formed, and we apparently saw the market collapsing. It came this crazy low. If you draw the grand box from this particular low to this particular top, you see that the point where NASDAQ went up was exactly this point. Now, we need to ask ourselves a question. Is NASDAQ primed for a sell? Well, we already know what's been happening in the stocks market, and everything looks primed for a financial collapse. And that is something fundamental to take note of. But then, looking at the charts historically, and from the price actions that we're already seeing, we can draw the curtains that, well, this movement right here is kind of suggestive of a bearish market resumption. But then, until the market proves us otherwise, right, we should just wait for multiple confirmations. Now, look at this. It's been extremely unusually bullish for NASDAQ, extremely unusually bullish. And it's like at this point. And now, if you want to ask yourself on a monthly time frame, what do you think NASDAQ has been doing all the years of its movement? This is like a very crazy peak, a very crazy peak. And you need to look at the candle printing on the monthly time frame. We have a very crazy candle week. I think you can see that. Very unusual one. I don't think I've seen something like this in the past. Look at this. We have candle weeks, yes, but we have 3 multiple candle weeks, and followed by a very strong sell. And of course, this candle week also showing us the sense of a recovery. But that is not the fact, because when you look at the historical price actions of NASDAQ in the previous bull cycle, we just have a candle week, and then a little bit of a down movement, and then a recovery after a long time. I mean, the recovery on NASDAQ takes a lot of time. I would say from this, we can say from 2001, it took almost 11 years, 2012, for it to recover. And then we have a very massive move. And now this is a very crazy all-time high. Crazy all-time high that, in fact, when you pull up, if you pull up an RSI indicator, what you'll be seeing right there will give you a clear direction that NASDAQ is already very, very bearish. Now, it has overbought here, overbought here, overbought here. 3 multiple overboughts from the RSI indicator. So now and then, not only that, we have a bearish divergence right here, which of course you can see. I'm not using RSI as a yardstick, but again, it's something not to throw off. So we have that, right? The indicator. We have the multiple candle weeks. We have a very solid, crazy sell-off. And of course, we have brewing sentiment around a financial collapse. So all of those are to be pressed into our understanding of what exactly we want to do. We can place a bet, and of course, by that, I mean we can take a solid guess that there is a potential reason for us to think of a potential sell for NASDAQ to happen. And so, yes, if there'll be anything we want to be looking at as a solid reason and a factor to put into consideration is the other block, which is the one right here, and that's to tell us that there are possibilities for us to expect NASDAQ to make it gearing right above the inducement that has been formed right here. There's an inducement potentially right here, which is an internal range liquidity, which the market will probably want to raid. As the market rates liquidity, it prepares for more reasons to sell. I'm going to be picking up that point quickly, liquidity or inducement, yes, right, like this, and I'm going to be thinking of that to happen. So a potential rise for NASDAQ into some let's say I'm in a percentage movement right now, 1 to 3% movement, or 1.5 to 3.5 percentage movement on NASDAQ is what we're going to be expecting. I think this is the conclusion, if there'll be anything. And this is my analysis on NASDAQ, an expected push. And of course, looking at the 4-hour candle printing, you're seeing it's already opening. It opened from this low, and of course it's going to be leading upwards, forming the body of the candle, and then leading up to a bullish outlook. We're going to check that, and of course later on. So that's that, and of course the daily candles on NASDAQ has been suggestive of a bullish market at the very least. The previous day's candle, it's all been printing upwards, plus the fact that we're a very solid move here. So we might see something leading up to this point before we sell. And other than that, I think that's my conclusion. Let me come to lead. Now, I think our analysis on lead is very solid. What we've said on lead is there's a very intrinsic bullish narrative within lead. And by that, we're expecting lead to buy all the way to this angle above this inducement. That is lead doing some, we're making the analysis somewhere around here. We're expecting to retrace, but then lead has been going upwards. So lead is going to probably, from the point where it is, do some 6, 7, or 8% movement before dumping. Well, why is it going to be dumping? Historically, we've drawn the conclusion that whenever the market is making lower lows, we have reasons to think of a bearish market. So yes, we've been having higher highs, but then suddenly we've come to this point of capitulation where the market was suddenly ranging somewhere around here like this, and then we broke below the range and then sort of continued like that into a downward movement. So yes, I think that's very, very important. Not only that, we've now come crazily raiding into this external range liquidity. This is a serious raid, and this is not a retracement for a new push. This for me is a rude rude intro, I don't know what to call it right now, a rude rating. All right, that was a rude one into this point, and I think it's just for the market to catch on liquidities from here, then to break this external range liquidity. And that's my perspective on lead. So yes, all I'm just saying is we should be probably expecting a 5 to 8 percentage push on lead this week. The end of the week in April, and then we'll see how lead is going to be like, probably closing the candle for the month. So I'm thinking that's going to probably be the whole case for lead, and this week might be the week lead is going to be like probably pushing strongly into this point at 2,100 from 1,980, and then probably resume a sell. That's our conclusion for the market analysis on some pairs we've highlighted. So if you've got any question, drop them in the comment section, and then can be so sure we're going to be attentive to them. I hope this answers your question, and of course this does justice to analysis. This is quite long, but please manage this with us, and of course drop like, subscribe. I'll appreciate. Peace out. Elgeod is the name. Bye.